Today, I'm going to teach you how to create a drip-in text effect in Photoshop. Hey guys, it's Connor here from Quick Edits. Today, we're going to be looking at how to create this drip-in text effect in Photoshop just by using a background image and the liquify tool. As always, I'll talk you through it step by step. It's a very simple technique to create. Let's jump in. Okay, to start the effect, you're going to need a background image. This is the image I've chosen, this dusk picture here. I think it'll look pretty good with all these colors here, with all these gradients of colors, once you've used a piece of text to mask over this image. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is just give myself a background here. So I'm going to hide this layer, and I'm going to create a new one, drop him underneath. I'm just going to use our paint bucket tool here to just give me maybe just an off-white background. Just like that, that looks great. And I'm going to use the text tool, so T on your keyboard, or this icon here on the left on the toolbar. And I'm going to click here. I want to make sure my text is set to black. The text I'm using, this is Body Soul. I found it online. I'll link it down in the description so you guys can download it as well. Okay, so let's just get our text. I'm going to type in just a short little word, flow. I think this will look pretty good. Once you're happy with your text, you need to now turn this into a mask, but on our background layer. So I'm going to just show the background layer here. Just going to size this up as well. There we go. Just make sure, maybe, yeah, there we go. And to create the mask, we're going to be using the text layer. On the icon here, on the thumbnail, I'm just going to press Command, and I'm going to click, and that's going to give me a selection of my text. And then I'm going to make sure I'm back on top of my background layer, so on top, and I'm just going to click the mask tool down here. By doing that, we've punched a hole straight into our image using our text, and now we've got the background beneath it. Once you've done this, you don't actually need your text layer anymore, so you can just go ahead and delete that for now. Now, if you're not happy with your selection, with your image behind it, all you have to do is, you see this chain icon here, if you just click on that, that's going to unlink it, and now you can go ahead and select your image, make sure you're on the move tool, and you can just move it around, you can scale it up to position it to a gradient that you're really happy with. So let's just move this one here, just see if we can find the best colors. I quite like this smaller, so I'm going to scale it down, maybe a little bit more. And I think that's looking pretty good there. I really like how we got a bright color at the bottom here, going up to the dark on top. Really pleased with that, and I'm just going to click OK. Now the next thing we want to do is to start distorting our background image to make it look like a paint stroke has maybe made the letters. So to do that, we need to apply our mask now. So once you clicked on your mask, you can right click and you can go to Apply Layer Mask, and that's just going to merge it all into one there. Perfect. Once you've done that, now we can use our liquify tool. If you go ahead up to Filter, down towards liquify, that's this one here. Now we can zoom in into our text, and this is where we're going to start distorting our image here. Now make sure you clicked onto our first tool up here, our forward warp tool, and with your open and close brackets on the keyboard, you can size up your brush here, and just to make it the right size of our text here. Also make sure your pressure is all the way up the top, and we can just go ahead and just start pulling our image with our brush tool. Now I want to make it look like a brush has made this, so I'm going to go as if I was actually writing this. So I'm going to start with the large line here, just like that. I think 2 pulls will really give the effect of a brush stroke there. That's looking good. And I'm going to go across, sizing down my brush, just like that, pushing those colors around. That looks pretty good. And up on top, keep pulling this until you're happy with it. I think that looks good. Now let's go to the L. I'm going to go up. And at the top, I'm going to size it up. And I'm going to drag it down. And drag it down once more. At the bottom, it gets a bit tight down here. So we're going to just bring that across and back up. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's keep going. Sizing it down. Great stuff. Across with the W, we're going to go down on this one, and back up, back down. Maybe pull this one a little bit further, and then on the tail here, just one pull like that, just to push those colors across. I think that's looking pretty good. Let me zoom out a little bit. Great stuff. Okay, once you're happy with that, you can go ahead and click OK down here. And you can see it's already changed our text here, and that's looking really good. Okay, our next step is to start bringing in our drops here from the paint. So to preserve this layer, I'm just going to click on it and I'm going to press Command J just to duplicate it, and I'm going to hide the one underneath. Just in case we mess this one up, we can always go back and work on this one. Now we're on our layer, we can go back to liquify, up into filter, down to liquify. I'm going to go back in again. Make sure you're still set to the same forward warp tool up here. And this time we're going to be bringing our drips off our text as if it's been sitting there for a while on a wall and just started to dripping away there. So let's start over here on this part here. I'm going to make sure my brush is the correct size, and I'm just going to start dragging down to make it drip just like that. And it's going to push our colors past as well, which looks really good. Now you don't want to do too many of these. You can always go too far. I'm just going to add a couple to maybe the bottom of our letters here, just like that. Maybe a long one over here as well, just at the end of this text. I think that's looking pretty good. Now we could bring some into our corners as well. Make sure they're on the right size, and just drag down from the corners at the top of the letters, and that's going to give it a couple more as well. I think that's looking pretty good. I'm really pleased with that. Oh, maybe here as well. Just like that. I think that's looking great. Okay, once you're happy, you can click OK, and that's going to give our drips here. Don't forget, it's still not too late. If you're still not happy with the colors, you can go in and change them if you wanted to. So once you're on your layer, you can head up to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, and you just play along with the top slider here to change the hue, and you can get some really cool results. So if you're not happy with the color of your image, you can just change it right here. I'm going to cancel that because I'm quite happy with my colors. Now, just to push the image a little bit further, I am going to use, maybe add in some paint splatters around the edges here using my brush tool. So I'm going to press B for brush tool, that's this icon here. And I'm going to go up. I've got a paint splat brush here. Didn't come native with Photoshop, but I will add it down in the description for you guys to download as well. And I'm just going to change the colors here slightly. I'm going to use my color picker here, and I'm just going to pick a color, maybe this orange here, and that's great. And I'm just going to not make my brush too big. I don't want to be painting directly on top of the text, so I am going to make a new layer before I start, and I'm going to drop this one underneath our main text layer. And I'm just going to start adding some variants here. Now this brush I'm using does really do a good job when it comes to adding in random dots here. I'm just going to go around until I'm happy. I'm not going to add too many. And I think that's looking pretty good. And just before I finish the video here, I'm just going to add in maybe a gradient in the background color here. I don't want to leave it as white. So I'll make sure I'm selected on my background color, and I'm going to go to our gradient tool, just underneath your paint bucket if you've got that open. And I'm going to click up here, and I'm just going to maybe a lighter color. Yeah, just a gray there. That looks pretty good. Maybe not a pure black, maybe just an off black. Press OK and OK. And then from the center, I'm just going to click and drag outwards. And that's going to give us a nice gradient there for our text. Just as any other of my other tutorials, you never have to leave it there. I show you the technique so that you can do this in your own time with your own projects, but you could always take it further as well. Just with this one, for example, with the colors that we've used, it almost looks quite fiery. So where we've added these paint splats here, we could turn these into embers and then almost turn this text into a fiery text, changing the background, adding maybe some glows. Again, using the colors, we can change them around as well. And there we go, guys. Another really quick tutorial here on how to create a drip-in paint text effect in Photoshop just by using a background image and the liquify tool. Really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, guys, please let me know down in the comments what you'd like to see next. Please drop a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.